How are you doing?
Um, I'm sick, but I can't complain, I guess. I just got my nails done, if I may.
Cute, 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 cute. You have to be watching on YouTube to see that. Uh, you know what my favorite animal is? My favorite animal is recording the episode and realize that we're not recording. so, because I want to be very transparent. We already were flowing for what 25 minutes, and then we realized that we didn't hit record. So we're gonna reflow as close as possible to the initial energy that we have, but it's still somehow not as bad as how I felt last week.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, I wish that we could like cut in like clips. We could like cut in like a dam like flowing. That's
yeah.
what the flow is going to be now.
Yes.
We're just gonna, the floodgates are open.
Yeah, they're just out here. But anyways, we're just gonna jump right into it. So we watched two dramas this week.
Correct.
One of them is No Game, No Love, and then the other one is The Judge from Hell.
Yeah.
So I think what we're gonna do is just kind of go show by show first. Well, not first. Go show by show. Duh. So we're gonna start with No Game, No Love. So for those of you who maybe are looking for something to watch or are already watching this, and obviously you just follow along with us. No Game, No Love has been out now. There's
12 episodes?
8 episodes out right now. No, that's a lie. There's 10 episodes out right now.
Yeah.
And then episodes 11 and 12 comes out Monday and Tuesday.
Which are the last two.
Which are the last two, and it ends. We're only like 2 episodes in. But it is the synopsis of the show is about, it follows Son Young, who is someone who doesn't like to lose, like in any aspect of her life, she does not like losing.
Her name literally means zero loss.
Exactly. She's like, loss, not me. I don't know her. And so she finds out that at work, you get special perks if you are married. I don't even think she finds out. Anyways, at work, she gets special perks if you're married. So she decides that she just needs to get into a fake marriage. And in comes Kim Ji-wook, the convenience store guy, who is played by Kim Young-dae. And that's who she basically is going to ask to marry her. And then what we are doing is just basically with the show, we get to kind of watch that play out and unfold, and the chaos, the love, the enemies of lovers trope, and all that kind of stuff. So Sung Young is played by Shimina, and I already mentioned Kim Young-dae plays Kim Ji-wook. And then we have Lee Sang-gi, who plays the CEO of the company that A-young works for. And then I'll leave it at that. Those are the 3 characters I will I will call out. But yeah, so we're gonna get right into like episode 1. The summary for episode 1, basically it just kind of goes over the overall synopsis. Like you get to see get introduced to the character Sun Young, and then you get a little bit of a background story. You also get to meet Kim Ji-wook. So basically the episode is in essence Sun Young, who is a calculating person by nature, which I don't think it's like super accurate, but this is straight from Amazon Prime. So talk to Amazon Prime, not me. Sun Young, a woman who's calculating by nature and hates to suffer losses. Kim Ji-wook, a civilian officer, neighborhood angel, perfect convenience store part-timer who hates causing trouble to people. After
except for her, because like
he has no problem like being like whatever to her.
Yeah.
After breaking up with her boyfriend, her being Son Young, with her boyfriend to avoid losses, Haeyoung makes a surprising offer to Ji-wook to win the in-house contest. What offer could she have made? So that's basically the summary of episode 1.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. I want to start off with like what your overall thought of the episode was.
So when it opens, it has like that cute little intro, and I liked the intro. I thought it was very cute, like the animation style, the music. I very much vibe with that.
Yeah.
We get to see her as like a child, and I love that she's like very like girl power. She's like, that's BS. Like, why did the boys get to do this? Like, they take up like she was literally doing the math in her head how much like they're taking up on the field. She's like, the math is not mathing, and he's like, well, you just want to be like a good person, right? Like, you don't want to like make your friends like suffer. Like, he's like, I can't remember what he said. And then she's like, no, I don't really care about being a good friend. She's like, I care about me. Like, how does this affect me? And then we also learned that her mom is an angel without wings, which to me, I thought that meant she was like a literal demon woman.
Yeah.
She was like a fallen angel. Yeah. But no, literally, she's like the nicest person ever. She gives herself too much to the point where her daughter is like feeling neglected.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's the case, but that's the way she interprets it.
I feel like that's what Haeyoung felt like. Yeah.
Which like leads to like her later in life having these two other sisters. One of her sisters is a smut writer, for lack of a better word. Like she writes smut. And then her other sister does voice acting.
Oh yeah.
And she like is involved with like a loser producer.
Yeah, or a cheating loser producer.
Yeah. So no, I say this to say though, but none of the sisters are having any like relationship success, it looks like.
That's true.
Yeah. But I liked our intro to these people because like I feel like they felt pretty real, even though like sometimes there's like moments of like fantasy and daydreaming, like I could vibe with them.
Yeah. I want to start off with when I clicked into the episode and all of a sudden I heard English. I was like, what is happening? What is going on here? And I guess because I don't watch Korean shows on Amazon Prime often. I think the last one I probably watched was Marry My Husband. It was jarring. I was like, wait, is she like, because it starts up with Aeon as a small girl, right? So I was like, oh, is she in the States? Like, is she like in like some foreign country? And I was like, no, this definitely looks like Korea. And I was like, but why is the English off? Why is nothing matched? And I was like, what in the ghetto is this? And I realized that it was like auto put in audio. I was like, anybody that watches K-dramas with dubs, I hate you. Because the acting is off.
Your co-host right now. Literally, I was too lazy and I watched the whole first episode in English. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to fiddle around with that. That's too much damn work.
Wow.
Actually, because I started to.
Wow.
I started to, but then like I was only changing the subtitles and I was like, this is too much work. Let me just go back to what I was already looking at.
I don't know. I feel so betrayed. I feel like you just let down every single person that's listening to this podcast.
I fixed it on the second episode.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, there's something about what. See, now you're gonna get me down, and I'm going. There's something about watching the show dubbed because it just does not even connect the same way. Like the level of acting and like that's put into it, you're missing. Because when the girl was speaking English, I was like, this does not even like it doesn't give the same emphasis as when she's saying it in Korean. I can't even look at you the same way.
The betrayal.
I'm disgusted. I want to throw up. I'm disappointed. I don't know who you are. And I wish you just never told me because ignorance is definitely bliss. I don't know that I can look at you the same way anymore. Disgusting shit. Okay? I'm so sick of you. Anyways, yeah, that threw me off. I was like immediately changed. But I do think that like there's a layer of her relationship with her mom, the strain that we can kind of sense, stemming from the fact that her mom kind of spent a lot of her life growing up being there for others. And maybe in that sense, she like sometimes you can want to do so much good that you're neglecting your own home.
Yeah.
And maybe she felt like she didn't like her mother. She was constantly sharing her mother with all these people that her mother was saving. And that's where her mom put all of her time in. But hopefully as the show unfolds, we get to like learn more.
Peel back the layers.
And, yeah, there you go, like an onion. But I think the best way for the show to have started was the way it did start, right? Going into the episode and she's like attending a wedding. And it's the wedding of like
her coworker.
A coworker. And we come to find out that that's her ex-boyfriend. And nobody else knew that they were dating except for obviously them.
You know what killed me though? Because like the math didn't math. Like she's like, we were together for 6 months and like now they're already getting married. Like they must have gone together like at 3 months. And then like they're showing the wedding photos and like they show his band There's a band-aid on his hand. And then she's like, hold the fuck up. She's like, I know my band-aids. That's my motherfucking band-aid.
How dramatic do you have to be that when someone breaks up with you, you like fall or hurt yourself, and that same night is when you propose?
Yeah.
That's the same night he proposed to.
Yeah.
I say, you know what? Men ain't what? They're not shit. Because what?
He's such an annoying character, and I hate looking at his face. Like, he just looks like a mask of a person. Like, he looks so unreal.
Not a mask of a person.
He looks like those purge masks. To me, anyways.
That's mean. Not the person who watches dramas as a dub having a lot to say.
I don't know if the
character, the boyfriend, definitely I find him very ugly, but not the actor.
Yeah, no, his the character.
Yeah, but I think episode 1 in general was like a really good like
intro to
everyone, and all the characters. So, but episode 2 we kind of get to learn like a little bit more of each ones. So I'll read a synopsis from Prime. Okay. Strange behavior follows after the proposal. Jihyuk rejects Haeyoung's offer to be her fake husband without hesitation. Woo-jae, which is Haeyoung's ex-boyfriend, shamelessly gaslights Haeyoung after stealing her idea. Provoked by Woo-jae, Haeyoung becomes increasingly desperate for a fake marriage and starts searching for her husband on a second-hand app. Will she find the fake husband? So we ended episode 1 with her proposing, like asking Jihyuk to marry her.
She did it in such an awkward and creepy way because she was under the influence. Which, by the way, she makes her drinks the way you make your drinks, because like it was all liquor and like a splash of like orange juice or something.
Yeah, you ain't gotta put me out there like that. They don't need to know that. You don't need to know that.
Well, that's true, because for my birthday, you made the drinks like the way I would drink them.
Yeah, I just don't like sugar. I don't like sweet drinks.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
yeah,
why?
because even with like your coffee or anything or tea, you get it like not sweet.
I just don't like the sweets.
Yeah. But yeah, that was creepy because like he was literally putting stuff away in the fridge, and then he just had this creepy room. Yeah. He's like, did you need something? She's like, a groom, and then he's like, your hair looks fine, and she's like, no. He's like, the person that stands next to me on the altar, a groom. And he's like, what?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in doing that for you. Like,
because they already have this established relationship of like hating each other.
They don't like
the sister calls it out too, and she's like, why do you go to that same convenience store? She's
over and over again.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, honestly, if me and someone have a hate relationship, but that's the convenience store close to my house, guess what?
We about to see each other a lot.
We gonna see each other a lot because I'm not going anywhere further.
That makes me think of that one time we went to that 7-Eleven and that guy asked you that one dastardly question. I won't repeat it because it doesn't bear repeating. But you still went to that same gas station.
What do you mean? Listen, I'm not gonna make my life inconvenient because we got issues. Nah.
Yeah.
The biggest part of episode 2, well, not the biggest part. One of the biggest part was like, so we know she went to her ex-husband's wedding, which she kind of had to because everybody in the company.
Her ex-boyfriends.
What did I say?
Her ex-husbands.
Oh yeah, ex-boyfriend's wedding, and she went because it would be weird if she didn't go, especially because they publicly at the workplace don't got no beef.
Yeah.
And so then she gave him like 30,000 won, and she's just like, I want my money back because you a cheater. And
also, I was like, that seems like such a minimal amount of money. Like, why can't he return it? And then he's like, oh, because my wife handles all the finance.
Yeah, I was just like, and so you ain't got nothing?
No, he gets a $200,000 won stipend, which is
that's
not very much.
Crazy. I didn't catch that part, but
and then also the plot twist of her working at the company too and being in HR, that was crazy.
I said
it didn't go where I thought it was gonna go.
You know what? I because it made it seem like I didn't think she was gonna be working for the company. Yeah. I thought she was just like some rich girl from a rich family. But I think she is somewhat from a rich family and connected to because she's very friendly with the CEO.
Yeah, they said it actually. They were like the mom of the CEO and her mom are best friends. That's why he stole her drinks.
Yeah, so she got money.
Yeah.
But yeah, being married to HR is, I don't know, always feels like a conflict of interest, but
for real. Because then
but so this whole thing that kind of spurred her wanting to do a fake marriage isn't only because she recognized that there's perks, because she's been worked there, so she should have known, but because there was a contest
and she can't really enter.
And she can't really enter because she's a single woman. And all I gotta say is that that's why are we like this? Why is this company like this? I appreciate that they give all these perks to people, but like,
oh wait, remember there is like a specific reason. It's because the old CEO couldn't keep it in his pants.
Yeah,
and he
was messing around with women.
So nobody like in like a secretary position or a higher position can be a woman
because that is unmarried.
Yeah, because it'll tempt the current son, and he doesn't want a bad reputation.
Yeah, but like, the current son, who's the current CEO. So we have the chairman, his dad, and then the CEO, which is the son.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't got no women. He's not married. He's not dating anyone. So like, what is the fear?
Are you gay? Why are you gay? Who is gay?
I remember you saying you felt like you could feel a little bit of connection between the CEO and the secretary.
I thought that's what they were setting us up for. Like, I was like, because that would be like, that would be perfect, because like he doesn't even have any interest in women, and like the mom just handed him access.
You know, you're right. It would be perfect because like in her mind she's so worried about women.
Yeah.
But what she should be worried about is about the men's as well.
Yeah, because he's like a good-looking man. He likes to take care of himself. He's always talking about the gym. And then like when they were talking about the whole thing, like he's like, I'll do anything for you. He's like, marriage? And then he's like, what? And then also like there have just been moments like where they would be touching their hands and it would just feel like it would linger too long.
Interesting.
So I thought that's where that was going. But then you told me that like...
Yeah, I didn't catch on to that, but I think maybe there's just the fact that I knew that they're having like the CEO and one of the sisters are having...
Smart sister.
Yeah. Smart sister is crazy. One of the sisters are having like a little 2-episode spin-off, but I think because I knew that... I knew I went into it with like, oh yeah, that's the second.
I'll be here for that like plot line too, because like also the mom of the current CEO, she's like the biggest subscriber fan of the Smart.
She's in the comments, everybody else. You know what I want to say? The people that be reading her stuff and going and leaving me comments, but you still reading it. Every week you go in there and you read that, and then you be like, I can't believe you wrote this. It's so cringy, but you're back there every week reading it. So just say you love it.
Yeah.
And go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, but the mom is like her biggest number one.
She's even going to be an investor.
Nice comment. Yeah.
And then they both saw like, I don't think she knows the assistant, but she just like connected. She's like, oh, he'd be perfect for the role of...
No, I think she knows the assistant. I think she knows the assistant.
So she based it on him?
Because the character's name is Hajun. The assistant's name is Hajun.
Yeah.
I think that she knows this. Now, I don't know in what level or capacity she knows him, because for her to hide, that means that that's someone that if they saw you, they would recognize you.
Oh, because the way it unfolded, I thought that like, because they were talking about like, she was like, oh, like when you like were describing the chef or whatever for your book or novel, whatever. And then like she was visualizing him as like the guy for the chef. So I thought she just like thought he was attractive and he'd be the perfect character.
Yeah.
But maybe he was the inspiration for the chef.
I think he was the inspiration, because if she like saw him and she's like, oh, I think this would be perfect, there's no reason for her to like slide down on the chair and hide, because he doesn't know who she is.
Yeah, you're right.
But she had to know who she is, because the mom also did the same thing, because she saw her son. And so I think it's going to be very interesting, because what it's seeming like is that homegirl writer likes the Hajun guy, because they did a whole character to him.
Yeah.
But she's going to end up with the CEO guy. Yeah. And, shout out to bagging the CEO. But yeah, I think, what was I saying? Workplace perks. Workplace ex-boyfriend. Imagine stealing her idea. Now, he didn't steal 100%. He had a little bit of spice to it. Right? That's still close enough for both of them to get called in to try and figure it out. And it's after that's to tell her to pull out. Like, well, you're not even married. You're a single woman. You can't even participate. And then basically say like, well, she said, well, I'll just tell everybody. And it's like, well, I'll tell them that we dated, we broke up, I moved on, but you want revenge. So now you're claiming that this is your idea. And I wanted to punch that man. Because how can you be so wrong?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so wrong. And then I think the episode ended in that well, that interaction ended with her basically saying like,
I'm gonna get married.
"Oh, I'm getting married in a month." I was like, "Is it that easy to pull off a wedding? Is it?"
Well, she sure found a checklist of things to do.
I guess she
found
did.
a groom. And also when they were trying on the tuxedo, that shit killed me.
Yeah.
Like, the girl was like, and then the other girl was like,
the way she was like, yeah, it's good because he's not that attractive. And
but
then like I was just like, I mean, sure, he's dressed down, but like you can't look at that man and say he's ugly.
Yeah, because he's really cute.
Like you can't, darling. Yeah. Not anything would have worn that wasn't like a shaggy outfit would have brought out his looks more. Yeah. But yeah, it was a really good ending. I'm looking forward to watching more episodes. It's like cute, fun, nothing like it's gonna turn. I think there's gonna be a point where it's not gonna be all butterflies and rom-com. It's gonna turn. Yeah, well, there have been moments too that have been like with the mom, like in the whole hospital scene, like that was very dark and sad. Yeah, and I think the last thing I want to say on this show is the convenience store guy. Why? I want to know why you've been working there for 6 years, because it seems like there's a lot more. Yeah, like literally when we first met him, like he said that his professor is the one that told him to apply for that one position. Yeah, so I'm just like, why are you just choosing? Like, I mean, there's something wrong with working in a convenience store, but for someone that kind of seems like he just living at a grocery one, back working at a convenience store for 6 years is like, and you don't really have no friends, like nothing. I'm like, that's okay. So I'm sure they're gonna kind of unfold. So I think that at some point it is gonna flip from being fully like bright pink, whatever rom-com to like rom dramedy. Yeah. I like the editing style of this one though. Like it's really funny. I like the way they go into daydreams and stuff. It's very different from our next show. Yeah, agreed. Anyways, so that was No Game No Love. We will continue to watch that one for sure. Yes. So our next show is the one that was my pick that I was really excited for because I love me like some horror, some supernatural elements. That's very much my vibe. And I know that you were a bit hesitant because you said that the main actress, like, she needs to prove herself to you. Which I don't really know what that means. I don't have context. Don't do me like that. You said it. I mean, you're not wrong, but I always think she has to prove something to me because who am I? No, you said redeem herself in your eyes. In my eyes, yes, 100%. I think, yeah. Yeah, okay. So here's like the summary of what this show is about. A demon secretly lives in the body of a judge with a mission to drag 10 criminals to hell within 1 year. And then in this show, we have, I don't feel like I should be saying this. I'm going to butcher them. No, you should try. Okay. So we have Jae Young Kim, who plays Han. Okay, how American of you, Kim Jae Young. Yeah, but he plays Han Daon, is that how you say it? And then we have Park Shin Hye. Park Shin Hye. Oh, Park Shin Hye. Yeah. And she plays Kang Bitna. Yes, who is the judge. Yeah. Those are really the only characters that I care about right now. It's really who we kind of see in episode. Yeah, I think, everybody else, like anyone that has watched K-dramas for a while, some of the characters that show up, you recognize the actors in them. So we don't really have to kind of spell out everybody else. Park Shin Hye and Kim Jae Young are the lead characters. So I love the way you said that. Thank you. So for episode 1, I'm trying to remember what the summary was on that one. Oh, okay. So we get introduced to Judge Justicia, is that Justita, and her assistant, and they're like judges she's the judge in hell for a specific type of like hell, because apparently there's like levels and like places of levels to this shit. Yeah. And like and then so a human judge is murdered in a park and lands in front of that demon judge who she offends, and she actually sentences her to 70,000 years in Gehenna, which is like, I think it's like the worst part of hell or something like that. The chief of hell learns of this mistake and tells her she must sentence 10 humans to hell in 1 year. And then we see her like in human form, and she meets Detective Han Da-on. And I'm trying to read my notes. I think that's a good. There's a case in front of her. I will say, what did I write? That is hilarious.
Yeah, like
That was a long ass episode summary.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I don't know why. The first, the last part. Oh, and he has a kiss in front of her.
It's like when you try to turn your you're like, oh my god, I forgot to write this.
Okay, so the episode kicks in. So we can just call the detective because that's like the other core detective that we're gonna be talking about.
True.
So the episode kicks in with we see did you start off with the judge getting killed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the judge, we see Park Shin-hye's character, Bitna,
just like laying in some
snow and there's blood. And then you see Park Shin-hye's character get up out of her body.
Like her subconscious.
Yeah, and then it transitions. You see like this beautiful like red roses.
Yeah.
Which indicate like the blood. And then it transitions into hell, where we see Justita, who's played by Honara, who I just finished watching in Chippin. Like literally like a couple days ago, I decided to watch Chippin. And she plays the goddess of justice, Justita, who basically judges people who died and goes to that special part of hell
like,
to get their judgment.
Hers is like murderers, right? Like
yeah, like specific types of like criminals.
Yeah.
And so Bitna, the judge, actually his character, ends up in front of Justita, and she's obviously confused, lost. I can only imagine because you just got stabbed in the park. Bitch, why are you in the park at that night and it's freezing, it's snowing outside? Like, I would not even leave my house when it's snowing that. But she's confused, and then her assistant, Justita's assistant, was like, hey, this girl's name is not on the list of people that should be here today.
Oh yeah, after she saw somebody like poof into smoke.
Right. And then Justita is like, you know what? She's here. I don't care.
I got things to do.
Yeah. She stamps her. So I already knew and I could sense that, like, because Bitna didn't kill anybody. She's not a murderer. So therefore she shouldn't have ended up there. So I knew that there was going to be some kind of issue with Justita branding her.
Well, even her assistant was like, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
She's like, because if Belle hears about this, like there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah. And as soon as she did that, she's some rock showed up. I don't know, something about a man. Like, people always like to call him ugly, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. But for me, I like strong features and a deep voice. And honestly, if he did not have a deep voice, like Shi Sung-rang didn't have a deep voice, I probably wouldn't be interested at all. I'll just be honest. I didn't know it was gonna be in the show like at all in any capacity. When I saw him, though, I was still creeped out. Like everything creeped me out.
Character was like very spidery.
Yeah, everything creeped me out. But when I saw him, I didn't know. When I was like, oh, I didn't expect this. It was a nice. I haven't seen him in something in a minute, so it was like nice to like see him. But yeah, and so he kind of basically was like, you made the wrong judgment. So therefore,
she was standing on business. Like,
she said,
she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And he stabs her, and she's like, you know what? We could do your little thing.
Yeah. So it's just like you have to basically kill 10 murders in the body, like go into the body of a human being, the person that you just wrongfully judged, and kill 10 murders in a year.
What was crazy is that like the way he described it made it seem like they had like caught that Bitna was there, and then like they had like fixed it, and then you find out later that like,
they never fixed it.
Yeah, they're still there.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, so now we're like, that's what happened to kind of get her to a place why she's in the body of like an actual real judge. In real life, the judge already was stabbed. Obviously, she got like taken care of, and then like she had to go through some mental what's the word?
Evaluation,
which they basically said homegirl has PTSD and a delusional disorder.
She told them that she was a demon.
She was just straight out just saying like, yeah, this is what I am. Obviously, people just thought she was crazy, and she's not crazy because she is a demon. But yeah, I was just like, so we give her that, and then we still allow her to go and actually judge people? Cases. I was just like,
well, I think it's because like they said that she did an exchange and she like did that audience with like the evaluators for the other doctors to study a case like her. But I was like, that's still messed up.
Yeah, okay, so I want to quickly, before we move on to episode 2, I want to get into the core of what happened in episode 1. So we're gonna probably spend a little bit longer on this one.
I think it's fine because that wasn't very long.
Yeah, and so we have the part where the goddess of justice, the demon, is now in the body of the judge, basically acting as a judge. And what they kind of explained to us is that her personality changed. Like, she's a very demure, classy young, which you could tell when we saw her when she died. She was wearing this like gray, her outfit was giving nothing.
Do you remember when her coworkers like confronted her though? And like there was that one woman coworker who she's like, I'm pretty, right? And she's like, yeah, you're pretty. Like, I don't know if you caught that, but she gave like the reaction was so weird. I was like, are you a gay? It was giving a gay.
Not you want you just like, we can just infuse a little bit of gayness. Like, here's your gay card. Yeah. You're gay for this series.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, yeah. So we could tell like the change in personality. So we know that the original judge, Bitna, OG Bitna, was just a very quiet. She wore grays, brown, beige, no makeup, because they be acting like new Bitna has like crazy makeup, but she just has, to me, just standard makeup. Like, she's not doing nothing crazy, but I guess she wears like colors and patterns.
And she doesn't even have like bright red hair. It's like red
highlights, because in some scenes it's brown. Yeah. And so it's like, okay. So we get to see the first part, how her and the detective come to meet each other, right? It's in court.
Yeah, and like she like gives him like a very like takes his side.
Yeah.
Oh, also she's obsessed with like cola, which I'm like, girl, same. I'm obsessed with cola too.
I don't drink cola.
I know you don't.
But yeah, that's definitely a thing. Cola is definitely products, whatever, sponsoring the heck out of that show, because almost every other scene she got a cola in hand.
For No Gay No Love, it was cigarettes. And
all things not good for your body. One's worse than the other.
That's true.
One is worse, definitely worse than the other one by far.
Yeah, it's worse for everybody around.
Everybody around you. So the first case we see is the detective, right? So he's basically being sued by a criminal who he tried to apprehend, who had a knife. So he kicked the knife out of his hand, and in doing so, he kicked the criminal could not use his hand for 2 weeks. And I was just like, I don't understand why the prosecutor actually is even prosecuting this case. Like, why did you bring this to the table?
Because remember, she called it out. She's like, oh, because the like mom,
some kind of connection with everything.
Like, his dad were friends.
I was just like, why are we here?
Because he accused her of making a mockery of the law, when she's like, why are you wasting my time with this?
I could cases we could be doing right now, and I just thought she was very funny.
That's literally what I wrote in my notes too. I was like, immediately I like it because she's sarcastically funny.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
And I love that her power is like being able to like sense the truth from people.
Yeah,
that's a badass power. Yeah. That's your power actually, because you can sense the truth.
You know me, I'm just Tita.
You are.
But I don't be killing nobody. Just want to put that out there. But the biggest core case of this episode
is sad.
It's sad, and it was really hard for me to like watch some of the violent scenes.
Yeah, because they didn't pull back. They really showed it to us.
They really showed it to us. So basically, the court case is they have this guy who beat the shit. I don't want to say, because assault of someone just makes it seem like, it was just, he literally slammed her head, like he beat
hard surface.
Yeah, so badly. And he's basically in court. They're trying to, I guess, he's on trial. She is now written, the victim has written a note for the doctor to be lenient and like to kind of, for non-punishment. So he has either lesser time or no time in prison. And I'm not going to go through every single thing that happened, but basically what ends up happening is that the prosecution, this is what pissed me off. And it's not like, oh, this is new to me. I know this is how that country be. I know this is how that country be. But the prosecution, they came to the table with like, oh, we propose a 1-year sentence. I said, did we see the same pictures we just saw?
That's like such a slap on the wrist.
A 1-year sentence is crazy. Like, did we, like, you saw those pictures and you say, yeah, 1 year is enough. Like, are we Are we okay? Are we good? So that pissed me off. And the judge ended up actually basically giving him an actual legitimate, like, no time in prison. You just pay a fine, a light ass fine. You just pay a small fine and you can be out. Obviously, we know that Dana did that so she could murder him.
Yeah.
But it, like, that part upset me because I'm just like, okay, so now for this plan to work, where she murders him, the victim has to also take more abuse.
Yeah.
And that I did not love.
But she was spitting facts. Remember, she told the kids, she's like, there is no justice. And then they try to call her out. She's like, but there isn't no justice.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah, that's very true. Korea. I mean, across the world, but Korea, they be having light sentences. It's actually quite insane. But yeah, it was hard for me to watch. And I was like, like at the end of episode 1, right, is where we get to see her, in essence, like, meet with the abusive ex-boyfriend. And it looked like she was going to basically stab him and kill him. But before she meets up with him in the alleyway, he was just coming from
having
abusing his ex again. And that part, like I said, was very hard for me to watch because she knew what he was about to go do. And I know that she obviously, like,
her character has to be
wait for certain actions for her to be able to justify. But it was just like, can somebody stop it? Because like, when I showed her, it was really hard that, like, she knew what was going to happen, and we still let the victim kind of go through that. But I understand that, like,
to move
at the end of the day, like, where she, like, gave him that 1 year, he was still going to do those actions to the girlfriend.
She literally said that.
Yeah, too. I understand that, but, like, if we could have prevented it a little bit. But I get it. I get that, like, for her to do what she needs to do, he needs to have done an action deserving of that. And so though he didn't kill her, which will then transition into, I guess, episode 2, where we kind of find out, like, what happens next. But, like, yeah, so we can kick it into episode 2 because that's when we kind of find out if she makes it or not. Because episode 1 made it seem like she died.
Yeah, I got into, like, a little bit of, like, episode 2. And I did learn what her fate was, that she...
so you didn't finish episode 2?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Okay, so then what I will do is I'll just play episode 2 because I watched it, and you can just... I could tell you what happened.
And I'll go back and watch it too because I really like the show.
So episode 1 ends with her in the alleyway with him, and she has her little knife drawn behind her back, right? And it looks like, before episode 1 ends, it looks like Min Young, I think that's the name of the character of the girlfriend, we'll call her ex-girlfriend. She was basically going to try to unalive herself. And they show her basically get herself set up there. Episode 2, basically, the detective shows up with his crew. So she wasn't able to do whatever it is that she might have been planning to do. By she, I mean the judge. Mm-hmm. Did you watch that part?
Yeah, no, because now that you're saying it, I'm like, I'm remembering. Because I remember him showing up and then, like, the mom, like, holding her daughter, and her daughter, just let me go. Like, I want to.
Yeah. So because
when he told it to the guy.
Yeah, because when the detective showed up to where the judge and the ex-abusive boyfriend was, I still didn't know what the fate of homegirl was. So he's like, get in the car to the judge. The detective tells the judge to get in the car. They tell the abusive boyfriend they can arrest him. So he had to agree to willingly come with them. So the boyfriend said, yeah, I'll go with you guys. So he goes with the other detectives. The main detective and the judge go to the house of Min Young, the girl who was assaulted. And that's where they show us that, like, oh, she actually didn't die. The cops got there in time to save her from unaliving herself. And she basically told her mom that, like, she said to her mom, like, just let me go. And I can't imagine what that feels like, because no matter what she does, this man somehow was still able to get access to her. And as long as he's alive, she's going to always be in fear of him coming after her, but most importantly, coming after the people she cares about. Like, because he threatened to kill her dad and her mom. So, like, I understand how she feels. And so the detective tells the judge, like, this is all your fault. And she's like, well, I mean, is it my fault? Because even if I let him go, even if I gave him that 1 year sentence, he will still do it. He would wait the 1 year, come out and do, because he has a problem. So whether it's that or that, either way, the problem is the sentence in the justice system and not necessarily me. I'm merely abiding by the laws. If the victim wrote a letter saying for me not to punish him, I can't infer emotions, right? Because the detective was like, well, you know that like she felt coerced into doing that. It's like, at the end of the day, she has to go off of evidence, right?
And he even had the context of like knowing that she tried to talk her
into like being honest as to how she truly feels. And the girl was like, and this is not blaming the victim at all, but it's like her explaining like, hey, at the end of the day, I have to go based off of facts. I'm not a therapist. I'm not I think she said therapist or psychologist. Like, I'm not going to infer the emotions of the victim or whatever, because I'm going based off the evidence. And the evidence said that like he should be walking the streets.
It was like he was a first time offender.
Yeah.
There was like in her like giving the sentencing, like it all made sense, even though people acted all shook. Like
it all, but like, and then she made this really amazing point. She said, people get, whenever someone does something bad and the criminal gets a life sentencing, people get up in arms, so upset, and then they forget and move on with their life. And then another scenario happens after somebody else dies. They get up in arms, they move on with their life. But at the end of the day, the laws, it's just a cycle. Like, people don't care long enough to drive any real impact to the laws of the land. They just care and they have outrage in the movement and they move on with their lives. And so it's like, I'm just following and like, in essence, enforcing the laws of the land, but like that, we have to change it as a whole. And if people don't care long enough to make a change, it's just a circle that we go in. And I thought that was very
thought-provoking, insightful,
profound. Yeah. Thank you. I'm so proud of myself for that. So now we have the girl as is alive, but what was still able to trigger her being able to kill the abusive person? Because in essence, her soul died. The girl's soul died.
That's kind of what I figured I was getting at. Because I was like, how are we going to get into the show and like kill 10 people if like this is not going very quickly?
Yeah.
And like we still need to see her die.
Yeah, and I did not want to see her die at all.
But that makes sense. There's different kinds of deaths.
Yeah. And so I was like trying to figure out, okay, how is this going to play out? So now we know how they're not justifying, but why he's still a candidate to kill is because her soul died, which you can tell that she had no will to live. Like, she was just like, I don't want to be in this world again. And so now it was upsetting me and my homegirls because the abusive boyfriend just kept pissing me off, and I just wanted him off my screen, like really fast off my screen.
Yeah,
and I was interested.
He was like really good at that creepy smile.
Very good, very good. And I can't imagine how it feels like to kind of constantly live in fear of somebody that you met, dated, and now just like is someone who won't let you ever live their life. And it feels like you and him belong to each other forever. Mm-hmm. And so she moved in with her parents, because remember in episode 1 they were trying to get her to move in.
Yeah,
she eventually did. But they set up this whole cameras, everything. Detective brought his little watch again.
Not the watch that failed the first time. And also, who's paying for these watches? Is it him or is it
the people?
Oh, okay.
The people of Korea. Okay, who are paying their taxes.
Got it.
And they set up camera system, everything. But the abusive guy shows up with his little hammer. He puts Vaseline on the camera so it's blurred and they can't see.
So first it was tape, now it's Vaseline.
But as he was about to like ring the doorbell, he gets a text. So he leaves. So basically what it is that he believes he got a text from Min Young, his ex-girlfriend. He gets on the phone and Min Young is like, hey, meet me at this place by like midnight. It's like, oh, are you trying to set me up with the police? She's like, no. It's like, well, then come outside right now. It's like, well, my parents are still up. Like, I don't want them to like call the cops, whatever the case may be. Like, just meet me here. Let's get this over with, blah, 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 blah. So she basically gave him the address of this abandoned place. He gets there and he's like, Min Young, come out to play. He's like, whatever to her, right? And then down the stairs comes the judge.
Really?
Yeah. And so he's like, because he already pulled out his armor, so he put his hammer away. And he's like, Judge, what are you doing here? And then he hears Min Young's voice. And the voice is something like, oh, like, I'm here to kill you or something like that. And in comes out the judge's assistant. The judge's assistant is able to do mimic voices.
Okay.
And so I personally, once I see that, that's enough creepiness for me to be like, whatever. So the judge basically is like, this is now your trial. Like, blah, 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 blah. They talk back and forth. He doesn't seem, she's like, are you not apologetic? Are you remorseful? And other stuff. And he's like, at first I think he's like, no, not like, it's like, I love her, blah, 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 blah. She wants to be like all this stuff. And then she's basically telling him that she's a demon, blah, 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 blah. And she gets a phone call. She picks up the phone, she turns around. This man thinks that he can
try to hit her with the hammer.
He tried to hit her like crazy. I was like, there's so much weird stuff happening right now. This is not a regular person.
You just heard
something. Like, come on. And let's use our brains. Yeah. But then one of the coolest thing about this scene was that I think she like hits him with something and it pushes him into a world. So he walks into this like restaurant and he's talking to the judge. But the judge is his girlfriend in this scenario. They're in a restaurant and he's like, I think she tells him to eat. And he's like, I don't want to eat. Then she like opens his mouth. She's like, eat. And she's putting the food in his mouth. And then he's like trying to get up and walk away. And she's like, no, you can't break up with me. I'll kill myself. She like has a knife. And in essence, like forces him to stay because if he tries to leave her, she's going to unalive herself.
Yeah.
And then we transition to a scene where she like hits him. She like beats him the girlfriend beats him as he does to his girlfriend. And he's like, oh, like, but the girlfriend's like, Bitna, the judge, is the one that's portraying the girlfriend. She's like, I love you. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. And then they had an exchange where Bitna beat him up some more. And then he calls the police and the police come and he's getting treated. Bitna is in handcuffs, walking away. She's like, I'll see you later, babes. And she winks at him. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so he thinks she's in jail, wherever. He comes back home from work, I'm assuming work, and she's in the kitchen cooking. And he's freaked out. And then she's like, she says something to him, and I think he says, like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, you called the cops on me. And then she beat him up again. She beat him up some more. I didn't love the violent scenes, but basically, in essence, what he was doing to that girl was what he was experiencing in this world that she pushed him into. And like, when I tell you, like, she'd be like, you made me do this. Like, you shouldn't have called the cops on me. Like, all of this stuff. And then she does it some more. Like, they transition and somehow is in his ex-girlfriend's house, but that's his house. And Bitna is banging on the door. She's like, I know you're in there. Open the door. I know you're in there. And he hears her. He's all beat up, eyes swollen. He's like moving because his leg is effed up. And there's a noose. Basically, he was going to go. And so when he kicks the chair off to unalive himself, he wakes up and is back in front of like the judge. And long story short, he tries to like choke her out. Yes, the judge. Like the abusive boyfriend tries to choke out the judge, and it looks like it's working. But then, because she's like, and then she's like starts laughing because she's like,
she's just fucking with it.
Yeah, and then anyways, long story short, she beat him the F up. Like she threw him through walls. Homegirl's strong, and then she kills him. So he dies. And so in this whole scenario, someone's ringing the doorbell at Mi Young's house and the dad's there. The girl is like, the person says, oh, he's detective, whatever. The girl's like, this is what he said the last time when he assaulted her. She thought it was a detective, but it ended up being him. So she's fearful and she's like in panic. And the dad's like, I'm going to protect you. I'm not going to let anybody hurt you. And he tells the mother and the daughter, go into a room, lock yourself in there. Don't come out. Don't come out at all. And until when you stop hearing something, like call the police, right? And so the dad, I guess, thinks he's going to be able to kill the boyfriend. So he grabs a knife, he opens his door and goes running, this person, whoever it is, kicks the knife out of his hand. And I was like, first of all, like, this boyfriend, this abusive boyfriend is young, strong. And I don't know anything about determination, but I just think like you also have to have some kind of strength in the game.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know that this was going to play out the way you wanted, but thankfully it was a detective. So his detective was like basically saying like,
"Hey, loves to kick him a knife."
He sure does. And so while the detective is there, he gets the phone call that the abusive boyfriend is dead. And so they go there to the place they found him, which is just this random abandoned place. His body is outside, but there's no blood anywhere. Basically, they have a special team in hell that comes and they would clean up
the crime
scene. Fast forward, this is a lot going on. Anyway, so he's dead. The girl is happy. She feels like she can finally breathe. At first, she felt guilty about being happy about somebody dying, but the judge came to see her at the church, kind of gave her some little bit of pep talk. And then she felt like happy about the fact, like she felt less guilty about being happy that this man is dead. Now, the judge is like, okay, we've killed one person. I have 9 more to go. Like, what's the fastest way to get involved in cases? Well, the fastest way is to get close to the detective who can bring you cases and you can find out what case is working on that as murderers involved. And that's your easy way to find murderers. But detective don't like her because she did.
Yeah. You had a really good impression of her initially.
And then it changed. Yeah. And so somehow she finds out where he lives. Well, she went to his the police station and she was like, I'm his girlfriend. They're like, oh my gosh, we're so happy that he finally has a girlfriend. Here's his address. So she shows up with like drinks and like meats and like right in front. It's like, how did you know? And she tells him and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, she did something cute. And then he let her stay. They start drinking. And she like trying to ask him to tell her like, are there any cases, any serial killers, any murder cases? And he's like, no, I can't tell you. Then when he got drunk, she's like, well, do you have any murders? Like, can you give me names? He's like, yeah, I know one. And she pulls out her phone to like start writing down names. And he's like, you're sitting next to one. Basically, he's saying that he's a murderer.
Oh, okay. I think I saw like an episode like preview at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
And like I think it was showing that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah, I killed 3 people. And then she's like, are you remorseful or something like that? And it's like, I mean, what's the point? Like, if I say I'm remorseful, it would just be to make myself feel better and blah, 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 blah. And she asked him about the family members. Like, yeah, the family members, they don't forgive me. They feel like I have a special place in hell, blah, 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 blah. But like, in listening to that, I was like, I know that there's no way he like is a person who murdered with malicious intent. I'm like, there has to be
like protect
some,
someone,
yeah, there has, or protect himself. There has to be like something involved in that. So she realizes like, oh, this is great. Like, he's a murderer. He doesn't seem remorseful. The family didn't forgive him. So he drinks, passes out. He wakes up. He sees her. She's like, let's go for a walk. Give me your hand. And he's like, why would I give you my hand? And then long story short, she like stabs him. And you see him just bleed out on the floor.
She don't even like send him to the like little world like the other guy?
Nah, she just straight stabs him, bleeds out on the floor. And the episode ends when we see a preview. The preview kind of shows homeboy, she's on the road, came back and say, hey, you fucked up, girl. You made the wrong judgment here. So I'm assuming from that preview that like, well, without the preview, that's the main character. Like, I know he's not dying forever. But in essence, she made a mistake. So there's a backstory now to this guy. But the biggest part that I missed, and this will be the last thing, and you should definitely go and finish watching episode 2, was that the reason why people have been accepting of Bitna's behavior and being chaotic, the chief, prosecute, judge, whatever, is because somebody is backing Bitna, an assemblyman. We don't know what their relationship was at first. However, they basically expand on it. Bitna used to be engaged to the second son of the assemblyman, but I'm assuming, well, not assuming, they're no longer engaged. They then flash to a scene with the assemblyman, it's current day, with the chief judge, like Bitna's boss's boss, I guess, at like a restaurant with assemblyman, the second son who Bitna used to be engaged to, and then his first son, which everybody says is a very problematic person.
What's an assemblyman?
It's kind of like a senator, like someone that works in Congress, like something like that, like
some kind of
House of Rep.
politician.
Yeah, like a politician. We'll just say politician.
Okay.
Yeah. And so all I know is in the beginning, Bitna was stabbed by somebody in the park. There's something behind why she was killed.
Oh, so it wasn't a random attack.
It wasn't a random attack. Is what I'm. Do you know why I'm coming at that? Because the Assemblyman, the actor that plays the Assemblyman, the actor that plays his second son, and the actor that plays the first son.
Are they always villains?
All those three people don't be up to no good. Especially, like, forget the sons. The dad alone is up to no good. Because why are you ensuring that the judge keeps her job when all she is to you is someone used to be engaged to your husband, to your son, and your son has not even budged checking on her since their stabbing. Yeah. So I know there's about to be some shicey stuff like happening here with Bitna. So that much I know. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to that part unfolding. I love a good mystery. I love a good figuring out like powerful people doing crazy stuff. So I know that there's going to be a reason behind why the original judge was killed. The backstory to the detective, and then just more cases that she saw. Well, that more cases that comes to her front door that we get to watch her kind of, I guess, murder.
I love the actress. Like, this is my first time seeing her, but like I love her in this role because like she does bad very well, like in this role, and I'm rooting for her. Show everybody.
So far, I'm loving Pakshane in this. The last Pakshane drama I watched was Pinocchio. She had a drama earlier this year called Dr. Slump in Netflix. I didn't watch that. I've been interested in her for a long time. But like with this one, I don't know, because I haven't seen a lot of her stuff since Pinocchio, which was like 2016. I feel like, well, I saw Sisyphus, but I only saw like one episode of it, and it wasn't even for her. It was for the male lead. But that's besides the point. I think it's probably like a character that she hasn't done before. Like
something kind of bad like this.
Yeah, but like funny and interesting. I don't know. I just love her. I love her fits.
I was gonna say the outfits are so good.
Their outfits are given.
That's what was the character's name in Glory? The villain. That's what she was trying to do, but the clothes were always wearing her.
Oh,
Yeonjin.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm excited for this drama because though it's also comedy, it's like a tiny bit of a contrast to No Gain, No Love, but they're both good vibes in general. So it was a really good week for me with dramas, and I'm watching other things as well. But yeah. So that was No Judge, the Judge from Judge from Hell. 10 out of 10, I recommend The Judge from Hell, and 10 out of 10, I recommend No Gain, No Love. So if you liked anything we talked about today and you have not seen any of the shows, it's not too late to catch up, so you can continue to watch with us as we kind of recap and talk about that. And so with that said, next week we'll be back here on this blue couch talking about more No Gain, No Love and more
No Judge, No Hell.
No judge, no hell, because justice is not real. And hopefully Paulino is not having some other kind of issue next week.
Have you guys seen like The Little Mermaid when like Ursula steals Ariel's voice? Like that's what's coming for me next.
Yeah, that's gonna be really hard to do a podcast where you ain't got no voice. This type of words. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.